I posted for 5 years to 1,000 followers.
No way.
Every single day. And I was posting like I was talking to a million people. I was posting like a full blogger. And I decided I'm going to make a video of my day. And I posted a video, what I spent in a day as a fashion student in New York. And when I went to bed and I woke up, I had gained 100,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow.
Well, I think one of the biggest humps that creators have to get over is to stop caring what people think about them, judging them for posting and putting themselves out there. Maybe a few years ago, to work with these luxury brands, you think, okay, I want to work with Chanel. I need to wear a lot of Chanel. I need to buy a lot of Chanel. I need to be, consuming a lot of it. But I think that the brands have gotten so smart in that they look for almost everything else outside of the brand, because you can put anybody in Chanel and it's going to look good. They're much more interested with who you are outside of that.
Welcome to More to Say. I'm Amber Vinsbox, founder of the $2 billion creator commerce platform, LTK. I've spent the last 14 years pioneering the creator economy, and on this podcast, I'm giving you direct access to the knowledge and perspectives of some of today's most influential people. I want you to stay ahead of the curve, so pull up a seat, because we are just getting started. Today's guest is someone that I've gotten to spend an increasing amount of time with over the last several months. Kate Bartlett has millions of followers across social media, and when you look at her, she seems like the typical Northeastern girl. Beautiful, kind of no makeup look, very chic haircut, kind of minimal personal style. She's collaborating with the likes of Ralph Lauren and Michael Kors and Chanel and Louis Vuitton, and I fully assumed this girl was Northeastern, born, bred, raised, and born right into this industry. And as I found out more and more about her, I honestly love her more and more, but also even just her origin story. And I feel like it was actually inspiring enough to bring her to the table and to bring her to More to Say, to sit amongst these amazing founders and leaders that we've had on the show, to tell her story, as a creator. But I think more than that, as someone who came from the outside and truly step by step within a fairly short period of time, worked their way into a career that many try years and even decades to get to. Kate has a really unique way of framing things for her audience to make them approachable, to make her very likable, even though she's getting access to some of the most exclusive things in the entire world. She actually started her business on the creator side on other platforms, for example, her blog, her Instagram, and actually didn't find success there. It was only when she found a recipe on TikTok that worked that she has risen to grow her business so much, to grow her community so much. And she continues to have high aspirations for herself. No matter if you're a creator, a business owner, just a listener, someone who's maybe followed my blog for the last 15 years, I think you're going to get tremendous value out of this by just listening to Kate and the way that she approaches things psychologically, both from a personal perspective, from a family perspective, from her business, how she really connects with community. Kate has something really unique to offer. And I'm excited for you to listen to this entire episode and just be able to take that and internalize. She has so much to share. So thank you, Kate, for joining us here at More to Say. Kate, entertaining people and having a just impeccable personal style seems to come so natural to you. I'm so curious about your childhood. Where did you grow up?
So I actually grew up in Orlando, Florida, which is extremely random, and people are always very surprised to hear that. Yes, people are actually from Orlando. And my childhood was great. My parents have always been so supportive of my sister and I doing kind of whatever we really want to do with our lives. And they have been such a big part of my story coming to New York as well. So I have one sister. She is a little bit older than me, and she lives a completely opposite life. She actually lives on a sailboat in Florida still, and she sails around the world selling vintage clothes.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So actually you guys are like a lot alike in a lot of ways.
We are. We both kind of went on our own paths, and it's been really fun to progress.
Okay, I have so many questions about selling vintage clothes and from your sailboat. I'm like, how does the shipping work? Like, what is this business?
Lots of logistics there.
Yeah.
I don't completely understand it, but she's really amazing.
Yeah. Wow, that's an incredible, background. When did you get to New York?
So I moved to New York when I was 18 years old to go to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, and study fashion business, and I have been here ever since.
When did you start your creator journey?
So I actually started posting on Instagram and on a blog when I was 15 years old.
So
So
before you ever came to New York,
before
this
I ever
is
came to New York,
early.
yes. But I would say for the first 5 years of posting, and when I say posting, I mean I was posting every day, multiple times a day on my blog and on my Instagram. I probably had about 1,000 followers for 5 years.
What was the name of your blog?
It was called Kate Bartlett Blog.
Love it. Very chic.
Yes,
Okay, you said you have 1,000 followers. Do you mean on your blog or on your
on
Instagram?
my Instagram.
Oh, okay.
I posted for 5 years to 1,000 followers
No
every
way.
single day. And I was posting like I was talking to a million people.
As
I
you
was
should.
posting like a full blogger. And it was really just a passion project. I just did it because I loved it.
What kind of things did you share?
I shared my outfits every day, every single day before school. My mom would take a photo of my outfit that I was wearing to high school that day. And I would go to school and I would come home, or after school, I would go to my retail job and then I would go to my hostessing job. And then after that, when I got home, I would edit my photos and I would post a blog post and I would post it on Instagram, the outfit that I was wearing that day.
So many thoughts about this. I always have told our team at LTK, I'm like, if anyone has ever worked in hospitality, hire that person. Because just understanding how to talk to people, like what people are actually like in the wild, I just think that's a skill set that you can't get it any other way. I spent years working retail and like all of the people's hair that I moved to the side to like zip up the dress in the back, and I'm like tying people's shoes and getting just like deeply like intimately involved with people, whether it's like food or working retail. I want that for my kids. It's part of the life plan. I've told my husband, I'm like, they will work hospitality because of, I just also think the work ethic. I'm so curious though, back to the blogging and Instagram, who inspired you? Like, had you seen someone do this or how did you get going?
You know, it's funny because at the time I didn't follow any bloggers, any influencers. I just had a personal Instagram account. I followed my friends. I was 15 years old. But I remember being in high school and I was very academic. I was definitely a nerd. But everybody was so into sports. They were all doing their thing. And I just felt like I didn't have a thing that I was super passionate about. And I knew I loved getting dressed. I loved clothes. And so I thought, maybe I'll give this a try.
It's so wild to me that you had 1,000 followers on Instagram and then you went viral on TikTok, which I think of as like the turning point in your career.
For sure.
Like what changed for you? Was it like the platform shift or you kind of found the recipe?
Well, I think that because I had been doing this for so long on Instagram, by the time TikTok came about and people were starting to post, it was just so natural. And I think at that point, well, I think one of the biggest humps that creators have to get over when they start posting is to stop caring what people think about them judging them for posting and putting themselves out there. And I had already gotten over that hurdle. I already didn't care. So posting on TikTok was just very natural. And all of my friends were scrolling anyway. So by the time I started posting, it was kind of easy to get into the groove of it. But I don't think that was the case for that many people in 2020 because most people were not already posting on Instagram like I was. And so when I started posting at the time in 2020 on TikTok, it was so much easier to grow than it is now. It was a completely different landscape. So it was very natural.
I mean, in 2020, none of us can forget all of that. But from a business perspective, everyone took all of that discretionary time that they had just found by being at home and spent it online. And so we saw just huge upticks in the amount of screen time and content that was like being consumed. So you definitely were prepared and ready at the right time. What was like the video that kicked it all off?
So I remember I had moved back to New York in 2020, in the summer of 2020, during COVID. I went home for a few months, and I was going crazy because I had just had my first semester of college in New York and then was sent home right after my first semester.
I am so sorry. Like, that's just tragic, actually.
Yeah. So it was actually kind of a crazy time because I went to a state university. The dorms, they had to turn into hospital rooms. And so I left very abruptly and I left everything there. And I flew home And I remember they were like, come pick up your stuff or we're going to throw it away. And I mean, I was a college student. I didn't have anything nice. But
I had no idea that happened.
yeah, so all of my stuff got thrown away.
Kate, yeah, you're like, I'm in Florida.
So I was in Florida and yeah, I was making videos styling my mom's clothes.
Love it.
And those were kind of the first that got a little traction. But I remember I was going crazy being home. I was so upset because I had just had my dream of moving to New York and then I had been sent home. And I was like, I have to go back. So I found an apartment on Facebook Marketplace.
As one does.
And I took all my savings and I moved back to New York by myself in a very tiny apartment. I think it was like 250 square feet. And I decided I was doing online school. And I decided I'm going to make a video of my day going to school. And I'm going to share how much I spent this day. So I saved all my receipts and I recorded going to online school and what I was doing. And I posted a video, what I spent in a day as a fashion student in New York. And when I went to bed and I woke up, I had gained 100,000 followers on TikTok. Wow. And that was kind of the start of it all.
Did you immediately have brands reaching out to you, or like was that shift where you're like, I'm in business? Did it happen then, or what was the growth into like bill pay?
Absolutely not. It was not. I would not say that was the start of making money for me. But I think when you have something like that happen and you get very lucky, it's really just what you do after that. And I would say it was probably about a year until I started making a good amount of money.
I love what you just said. I talk to creators about meet and keep. And if you don't do the keep part, that you can't turn this into a business. So when you talk about what you do after that, like what did you do after that?
I studied what was working in my algorithm. Once I saw that, I knew, okay, this can be something. So I would study everybody's videos. I would study, okay, how long of a video should I do? How should the intonation of my voice be? What styles of things are working? What are people not doing? And I did exactly that every single day.
Wow. How much did you spend in a day?
I think the first video was like $26 or something.
That's actually impressive, I think.
Yeah. I was on a tight budget.
No, for sure. So you started out with more budget content. I mean, $26 a day, that's actually like wildly impressive. I think especially in New York, things can just get rowdy really quickly. Was that transition into becoming a luxury, creator, was that a conscious strategy or more of a natural shift for you?
I would say a mixture of both. I think at first I was living my life and doing my thing, and it was all very natural. And I remember the first luxury brand I worked with, which I spoke about at LTK was Louis Vuitton. And I remember when they first reached out and they sent me a bag, it was crazy to me. I never knew that I could do this. And I think it was that was really the turning point that I thought, I can do this. I can be a luxury girl. I can work with these brands, but it's going to have a little bit more strategy behind it. So I started saying a lot more no's. And I think saying more no than yes was a huge part of making that transition.
Which is challenging when you're working and in college and like trying to pay rent. Yeah, that's a tough job. What would you say is the most challenging part of your job today as a creator?
I think that in this industry, you have to constantly reinvent yourself over and over and over again. And I feel that I've done that a million times, which is it's really fun, but it's also challenging. And, you wake up every day and your job is to turn on your camera and press record and make it go viral and keep people interested.
Every episode, I get the chance to tell you guys about what are the things that I am absolutely loving right now. This week is a little bit different because I'm going to talk about books. I'm often asked what books I'm reading in my DMs and whenever I do kind of like an Ask Me Anything, but I haven't talked about that as much here on the podcast. And there's two books right now that I'm in the thick of. Actually, there's more than that, but the two I'm going to tell you about. John Mark Comer wrote a book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. So if you're watching me on YouTube, you can check this out. It's this actually kind of a cool looking orange book, but it is all about eliminating hurry in our life and what that opens up for us when we add margin. I have sprinted through this book. It is a very quick and easy read. He speaks in really a very like common and approachable language. And if this book is not already trending, it definitely will be. It is a whole different approach to life that I very much am buying into right now. And wonderful book. The second one was a recent one that was recommended to me to read. And this one's called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. If you're on YouTube, you can see it's kind of this green, shiny, big book. Um, Again, recommended to me. I do think this book is actually trending. I have seen other people speak about this before. I'm a few chapters in. The title sort of speaks for itself, maybe as does The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. But I think that this one sort of teaches you two pieces. There's a let them and then there's a let me. And I'm so far getting great value out of both of those books. I listen to these and then I also own the physical copies. I listen on Audible. I love to be able to just ask people recommend books, get them quickly. I also order them. I like to underline, draw, journal, and kind of keep up with my learnings from them. But as I'm putting my makeup on or as I'm driving, home from dropping my kids off from school, I get these like 30-minute blocks where I can kind of progress in the books. The other ones that I'm listening to actually right now on Audible are biographies of current world leaders and influencers. I really like to understand who they are as people, what drives them, and then their stories, ideally in their own words. I'm reading one right now written about a key figure in our world, and then I'm reading one by a key figure in our world, speaking about his own personal journey. Those are things that I just love to learn from. I think the more that you can understand who these people are, the more you can apply kind of some of their life lessons and even understand as you watch the news or listen to the news or see what's happening in the press. It just gives you a little bit more of texture and a little bit more of an informed opinion about what's happening. But loving these books so far, definitely recommend. Also, an Audible subscription is just a great thing to have on hand. I think that we should all always be learning. You just chopped your hair off, which looks fantastic.
I did. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I love it. Okay, so is this part of the reinvent yourself?
I would say it definitely did. It was actually something that my manager recommended to me. She said, I think you should chop your hair. And she said, I know you're not going to want to do this, but I think you should. And I listened to everything she says because she's amazing. And so I did it. And I think I kind of entered a new era. And I feel a lot more myself with the chop.
It's beautiful. And I do think that it is such a tool, to be honest with you. We were looking at some creators the other day in the office, and we had a creator who's kind of like, stagnated. And as I was flipping, I was like, she's had the same hairstyle for 12 years. And I was like, how do we nicely say, maybe change your hair? Like we got to be doing something different, offering something different. And you know what? I notice it a lot with celebrities. Like I think about whether it's like their makeup or their hairstyle or the way they're doing their filler or like whatever the thing is, like they're constantly keeping people on their toes. And it becomes actually like change becomes such a tool. I think there's so much that we can learn from that. Speaking of change, TikTok is really your primary platform. And kind of, even though you started in another place, is kind of where you found fame. And then, of course, we had like the TikTok ban of 12 hours. And then now I was with an editor yesterday who had like a countdown ticker actually on her phone. And I think we're 45 days away from another potential ban or divestiture of TikTok. What has that been like for you gosh, I can't even imagine the stress of it, honestly. I'd love to just like hear how you're processing and what you're thinking about it.
I think it was a huge wake-up call to that we all need to be diversifying our platforms and building a strong community elsewhere. I mean, there's so many other places that we can do that. I think everybody was kind of in denial for a bit about the ban happening. So when it did, it was a huge shock. And it was pretty emotional too, because this is something that we've built for years and years. And it's also a female-dominated industry, which is always sad to see get hit. But it's been a big wake-up call that I want to expand my platforms into more long form, into more mainstream media. So it's going to be a transition. And I also think that if it does get banned, it's going to weed out a lot of genres of talent, which is not a good thing, but we'll see.
No, I think with what we've seen over the years is usually every 2-ish years is like the beginning of something new from a platform standpoint. And it does introduce a new type of creator. And so it brings more into the universe. So from an LTK perspective, we want creators to have choice in the way that they're expressing and the way that they're finding community and, whether it's like whenever Pinterest started, even totally different, right? But like it was a new type of creative person who could latch on to that even type and push it out. Or you can think about like Vine or, people who've done well, obviously on TikTok. It's grabbing a different generation and a different type of creative. So I think you're right. Even though there are similar formats now being reproduced across other platforms, there is a cultural difference on TikTok versus
Mhm.
Instagram. Would you say?
100%.
What do you think that
100%.
that is?
It's funny because I have a much bigger audience on TikTok, yet I feel so much more comfortable sharing myself in all forms with no makeup when I first wake up in the morning. I think everybody is very accepting on TikTok and you don't have to be so polished. And it just feels a little more authentic. It kind of just feels like you're on FaceTime, I guess. And Instagram feels more like a portfolio.
Yeah, I can see and agree with that totally. Generationally, are there certain things that you feel like your generation like does differently or like approaches differently from a generation of content creator perspective?
Mhm. For sure. I think that the generation before, I mean, what did we have before TikTok? Bloggers, YouTubers. It was all so polished. So polished. And this is another thing that I spoke about at LTK about how a lot of times when I work with brands, I really want to do super polished. And they're like, no, no, make it super natural. Film it with your iPhone, be in your bathroom, be in your bedroom. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. We just want you to speak to your audience as a Gen Z.
That's something that's taken brands, actually, brands you're talking about are like super intelligent in that sense. It's taken brands a long time to like let go
Mhm.
and realize that actually the authenticity and the casualness is actually a part of what really builds trust with audiences. But it is hard because all of a sudden a Louis Vuitton bag shows up and you're like, oh my God, I need to do a photo shoot. Like I usually see this in a Vogue setting, and
Exactly.
really they just want it in your setting. You now, you talk about on the Instagram, like the 1,000 followers, you have 2 million followers now across platforms. What do you think it is that keeps people coming back to your content?
Well, I would say, okay, so a few years ago when I started to really gain an audience on TikTok and on Instagram, I kind of set this rule for myself that I was never going to put a complaint or a negative thought onto the internet. Which I think in today's culture of the internet, it's become kind of a trend sometimes to be very relatable and to complain about things, which I get, it is relatable. But I was just living my dream life and living such a blessed life. And I thought, I have no place to be putting negativity on the internet because I am so lucky. And every time I post a video, I watch it 5 times before I post it. And if I sound even a little bit negative or I'm complaining about something, I will not post it. And, maybe that's not what keeps people watching, but I like to think that hopefully my positivity has been a factor in that.
It's huge. I mean, it's a major standout. And honestly, we do a ton of consumer studies. We do CMO studies. Like we're looking at all of our customer bases and trying to understand what's driving them and like what's their need set. And what we've heard a lot lately from our LTK, there's 40 million people who are coming on the LTK platform every month. We're overwhelmingly here that it's like an escape from social media and that it is a known happy place. And that it's like, I want to see some great beauty. I want to see some great fashion. And I know when I open it, there's nothing shocking that's going to like come at me that's going to bring me down. And I do think that, I mean, we're seeing it in the data, we're seeing it in the feedback that people are looking for something that's a little bit more uplifting because there's plenty that's not out there. So that strategy is clearly working for you. How do you, whenever you're introducing the Louis Vuitton bag or, I saw that you just did this wonderful Chanel project. How do you introduce brands and like pull them through your content in a way that's like attainable for everyone who's all 2 million who are following you?
Well, I think that the most important thing that I try to emphasize is how excited I am to be doing it because this is not what I started out doing and this is not where I came from. And I don't want to pretend like I'm too cool to be excited about something because I am. And I think that that helps your audience be excited too. Because if you approach something like, oh, I really deserve to be doing this, this is so normal for me, it's kind of can just be a little bit icky. So I just try to approach everything with, I'm so lucky to be doing this. I'm so excited to be doing this. And I really feel like we've come a long way.
When I'm interviewed, people often ask me, what are pinch me moments within the business? And I will tell you, I've never had that feeling before of like being outside of your body, like looking in and thinking like, wow, this is an achievement. There's always some sort of milestone that we are looking to achieve. And honestly, I'm not as good at even celebrating as I should be, as we look back and kind of celebrate like the little wins along the way that have really added up to this big elephant of a business that we've created. But we just launched Zara on the LTK platform, meaning that you as a shopper can go in, you can search Zara and you can see all the content that your favorite creators have made, all of the edits that they've created. As a creator, you're now in a commercial relationship with Zara. I will tell you, at our New York Fashion Week party, standing there in front of the big Zara sign with all of the LTK icons around, and hundreds of creators filling the room from the second the party opened to the second it ended. It was a little bit of an out of body experience, and kind of for the first time I had that pinch me moment. I knew this day would come, but we are 14 years into our business. And so we have been very patient, I guess that I would say, over this time, knowing the day would come, but not knowing when it would be. And I am so excited to offer this. I know that you guys are, because I look at the data all the time and I can see that before we ever announced that Zara was going to be on LTK, you guys searched for Zara every 60 seconds. Crazy. And then the days after we launched Zara, you guys were shopping Zara every single second. So the demand for this brand has been just tremendous and outsized. I know that for me, I can think of key life moments from high school and getting to travel abroad. And I was actually probably more excited to, go to Zara and get access to the products there versus like going to the Duomo at the time. It has been part of like my fashion journey and history. And I can think of all the key moments in my life, even over the last year, where I was actually wearing head to toe Zara. And now I get to share all of that with you guys. My kids are in Zara. I put Baxter in Zara. I'm thrilled to have them as a partner on the platform. And I hope that your favorite creators are helping you find the best stuff from them. So welcome to LTK Zara. Kate, you're so unique. I love it. Like just
Thank
the
you.
good energy in this room. You also, like when I look at your LTK, there's actually a ton of beauty there too. And on the face, I always think of you of like in your outfits and the way that you're blending this like high and low. But tell me about this like kind of foray into the beauty side.
So I think that luxury beauty is such an amazing thing because it can give you a little taste of a luxury brand, whether it's Chanel or Dior or Prada, for such a fraction of the price. And it's such an everyday little luxury that you can have in your life, in your purse, on your vanity, and just feel like the Chanel girl or the Prada girl. And it's really at such a fraction of a price. So I love luxury beauty. I also think they make incredible products.
That's also a wonderful gift, by the way, too. Well, first of all,
Exactly.
like I do love pulling it
Exactly.
out of my purse or like having cute things in my bag. It does make you feel great. And then just as I think about like friend gifts or other stuff, I
Mhm.
actually recently started giving beauty, and I'm like, it's fun when someone can pull a Chanel mascara out of their purse or like a fun like Dior lip gloss like this. What last fashion week we gave every creator Dior lip gloss, and it was like this like beautiful, just actually it was like a clear but like a very very glossy
Mhm.
lip. They're a partner of ours, and it's fun to pull it out of your bag. Like I totally agree with you. I think there's something that makes that beauty is like very approachable. And it's a wonderful way to weave in luxury. Okay, wait, I want to know, tell us about working with Chanel.
It was amazing. And Chanel has always been the number one brand that I've always wanted to work with. So it's so exciting. I actually shot it here.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes, at Phuket. But it was such a fun project for their fine jewelry. And I feel very, very lucky.
And you got to wear some really beautiful Chanel
Yes.
clothes with it
It
as well.
was a dream.
With a team like that, creating content for luxury, like what do you think are some of the differences that you see with like their approach to, obviously they're building a brand. And I guess it's worth noting that in our CMO studies, like a lot of the dollars that are shifting into creator this year are around brand and positioning. The industry has come a really long way. It's incredibly scientific, which actually I think most people, even people in and around the industry, don't even understand like the level at which these marketers are now working. But what we're seeing, some of the newest dollars coming in are around positioning a brand. And a Chanel is a wonderful example. And many of the brands that you work with, actually, the luxury brands that have always really been focused on positioning. What are some of the things that you see them do or encourage of you as they want you to help them to build a reputation?
I think it's really interesting how things have changed, and I've learned so much because maybe a few years ago, to work with these luxury brands, you think, okay, I want to work with Chanel. I need to wear a lot of Chanel. I need to buy a lot of Chanel. I need to be, consuming a lot of it. But I think that the brands have gotten so smart and that they look for almost everything else outside of the brand because you can put anybody in Chanel and it's going to look good. They're much more interested with who you are outside of that. Where are you spending your time? What restaurants are you eating at? Where are you traveling? What are you choosing to do? What are your hobbies? I think that brands really look a lot more holistically, especially luxury brands, at the people that they're working with and try to build a diverse portfolio of people of all different industries and, all different interests and, sorry, all different industries and all different interests. And I think it's very different from maybe how it was before, where they were just working with people who would wear the brand a lot.
And for a brand, that's a conscious decision. I think for the consumer, it actually is still there and it's just unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we've been working on at LTK is getting video into the platform. And so from our TikTokers last year actually doubled the volume of video that they were putting on LTK. They also doubled their revenue last year, which was really exciting to see. We saw that with video, consumers were actually watching, I think it's like 78% more video. They were going into a creator's channel and about 40% of them were watching 5 minutes at a time from that creator's channel. And I think what what we are encouraging our creators to understand is it actually matters to them all the things that you just said. Where do you like to vacation? What books do you like to read? They want to understand who you are, and that context is what builds trust with them that when you recommend the thing. And so, for example, when I follow creators, I do want to know and understand all of those things so that I can, better trust or decide if they're a creator for me. And so getting all of that, whether you want to call it like upper funnel content or entertaining content or just context really for your life is going to be so important on the go forward. You mentioned that, getting your arms around your community and keeping those people that you've met is a focus of this year. I do think that we're seeing that broadly. And one of the best tools to do that is to provide them context and not just the I love Chanel earrings, but I go to this place and I live in this city and all of that background work. What do you think is a common misconception people have about luxury creators?
I think that we keep all of the outfits that we wear to events or to shows. People always think when I'm going to a show that I get to keep the outfit, but it's always a sample and a loan.
It's true. Otherwise, you'd need a whole, I don't know, storage
Storage
facility
unit,
to
exactly.
put. Oh my gosh, I picture how they show Kim Kardashian's house, and she has warehouses and racks and racks and racks of everything they've ever
Not
worn.
my New York City apartment.
No, yeah, sad day when they ask for it back. We're here at New York Fashion Week,
Yes.
and you are living in fashion mecca and in touch with all of these brands and constantly have your finger on the pulse. What are the trends right now that you're excited about?
It's interesting because I feel that in the past few years, I've honestly cut most trends out of my wardrobe, and I really try to stick to a basic, classic, almost capsule wardrobe, not really, but. And it's almost out of necessity because I do live in New York and my closet is not huge, but there's definitely some fun ones right now. Like the fisherman trend is kind of fun.
Okay, tell me more.
Have you seen this?
Well, okay, I'm on the list for the Chloe shoes that have the little fish
Yes.
trims.
Okay, so
that's where I am.
yes, you get it.
Okay.
I love Chloe. Also, the whole Chloe Isabella Marant revival that's happening.
I'm fully here for it. It's very practical. There's a lot of denim, honestly, in my life. It is I can wear it a lot of places. I feel like I can wear it to carpool and be fine, but I can also wear it to a New York Fashion Week party and be fine. I actually might wear some denim tonight. We'll see for our Zara party. But
Yes.
I didn't even know the fisherman thing was a trend. I am on the list for the fish shoes.
You're
though,
onto
so.
it and you didn't even know.
Okay. Anything else that we should be aware of right now for trends?
Let me think. Like I said, I think this summer, once it's not snowing outside like it is today, I'm really excited for a more bohemian summer, very flowy. I loved that Chloe outfit that you wore at LTK Con. I think about that outfit all the time.
It's on sale now.
That is the blueprint.
It's so good. Okay, so you're down to a capsule wardrobe. Totally get it. Love it. And I think quiet luxury also is very conducive to having a capsule wardrobe. Mm-hmm. What are 3 pieces that you think that we all need in this capsule?
Okay. For me, boots are very important. I love a black heeled boot, preferably knee high, but any black heeled pointed toe boot necessary. I also think a really good watch that will go with everything. It doesn't have to be expensive, but something that will go with everything really elevates an outfit. And I think people really underestimate the importance of a white t-shirt and finding a good white t-shirt because they are not all made equally.
Totally agree.
It's really important for it to be very crisp, a nice color. My favorite is from the brand Lisette. I think you can get it on Amazon, but
Okay,
they're
cool.
great.
I feel like a lot of these are in your video that you did that was like 10 things that like I don't regret buying or
Yes, exactly. They are.
So so if you're listening, go to her LTK. It's just at Kate Bartlett, I believe. Yeah. And there's some good stuff on there. I know the boots. I've seen the boots. So tonight, this week, Zara just launched on LTK. So 14-year holdout, finally got them. I'm so excited. We launched on Monday. By Tuesday, consumers were shopping Zara every second on the LTK app. There's like a huge excitement and demand around this. Zara's actually, I was looking this up. I was chatting with ChatGPT all about Zara and its position in the world. It's actually one of the top global fashion brands from just a merchandise volume standpoint. It's pretty tremendous. I grew up like loving Zara when I would travel, getting to like get to go to the stores. Honestly, I would like do research and figure out like what I was going for. I remember like when Baxter and I were dating and he went to Europe, I sent him screenshots of all the shoes like from their European website. I was like, if you go in a store and you see any of these, get them for me. Such great stuff. What will you be wearing and what are your favorite things to search for when you go in Zara?
Tonight I'm wearing a very monochrome look. I'm wearing all chocolate brown with some fun bangles, like acrylic bangles. But my favorite thing at Zara, and I've said this for years, I love Zara denim. I think Zara makes the best denim. It's all $50, which is insane, and it has not gone up in price in years. And it's great for tall girls. If you need long jeans, Zara is the place to go. So yeah, I'm a Zara denim girl.
I am fully with you. I feel like lately all the trends that I love are denim trends, and then denim is like $400 these days. I'm like, why are we like paying around and to have a trend? And I feel like denim is like very trendy right now, whether it's like the barrel jeans or like the crossover front jeans, and it's like skinny jeans are out, but then they're not. And like, I don't know. It's like you can literally rack up quite a bill on denim. I actually have on Zara denim right now. I totally agree with you. I think that that's like the best, and I am tall.
Yes.
And it's I can wear flats with it. I want to shift a little bit to your career because you have been successful in continuing to grow your business. You've been gritty since you were 15 years old, which is just really cool to see. I think how you persisted through, and you clearly have a real passion for this. What are the strategies that you're using to grow your business right now?
I think that it is so important, like I said, to keep reinventing yourself and diversifying your platforms. I think if you do not do that, you will die off so quickly. And if you keep doing the same thing and you do not try new things, you will die in this industry. And trying new things sometimes can be scary. I've definitely had a lot of fails or videos that just don't work or do not take off, but you have to do that to keep growing.
I was having an interesting conversation last night with a woman who had talked about some changes on her team, and we were reflecting on the era of, do you remember like Pop Sugar and Who What Wear and
Yes, of
Refinery
course.
29 and like, oh my
BuzzFeed.
gosh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it was like, they like culturally, they were everything. It was like 29 rooms, like everyone wanted to go and like go to the 29 rooms deal. And all of these brands were just everything. And I was talking to a woman who actually used to work at one of those brands. And then she was like, are they still around? Like, are those brands still there? And we were sort of reflecting on like what actually happened because they were at the top of the cultural game. And her reflection from being on the inside was, well, Facebook turned off brand and company pages and feed, and we all lost all of our traffic and died. And I was thinking back to these platforms have such control where they can literally just twist a dial and an entire cultural industry is just like turned off immediately. And you think about like, I remember working with the major magazines and our contacts were largely like, usually it was like the younger demo and the social media people were also the website people. And I remember going into one of those tall towers and then meeting the next day is canceled because like 13 people got laid off because Facebook turned off brand pages. I think they're now back. Someone told me yesterday that in the last year that they've gotten like 200,000 followers. So it comes and goes. Like they do what they need to do to keep their users. But I think it's worth remembering and like reflecting on history of, I often say it's like they will change by evolution or revolution. And so, like a revolution would be like, Facebook turning off the brand pages or like TikTok getting banned. But the evolution's real too, and it can be sort of like a boiling frog. And I think creators have now, like for many generations, like had that experience and are thinking about things the way that you are. You can't get comfortable. The only constant in our industry is change. What has been top of mind for you as you think about the future of your business?
It's crazy because I've accomplished so many things that I never thought would ever happen. And it's crazy because like I never thought that would happen 5 years ago. And I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. So it's honestly kind of hard to predict sometimes. But I think being really consistent and always pushing yourself to do more and more and more and try more is the best thing that you can do.
Are you like, tell us a little bit about your team and your team structure. Like, is it you and an agent, or are there like 12 people in your apartment right now posting? What's happening?
So my team, I mean, it's changed so many times throughout the year. I've had times where I've had assistants. But my main team is my management DVI in LA. My amazing manager, Hillary.
You're running. People do love Hillary. Hi, Hillary.
Yes.
It's interesting because there's so many different, like our creators have such different DNA and like makeups of who is helping them behind the scenes. And I think you're right when you said that it's always shifting. You also have to, as with any business, like we say internally, like there is no perfect org. And so we're never going to like land on like, this is it. And this is the right structure. Like as business changes and things changes, as things change, creators have to shift in the way that they operate as well. What is next for you? Like you said, you've already achieved so much. You've worked with these amazing brands. You found, millions of followers that are in love with you. And you're also staying very happy, which I love. Any big projects or things that you're excited for coming up?
Well, hopefully that this year I'll have some life changes that hopefully I'll be able to share soon. But I'm really diving more into long form content recently. So I've been on my YouTube game. So go subscribe.
I love it. You are clearly a very hard worker. I feel like you're also, you described to us how you sort of study this space. Have you had any aha moments lately or things that you're learning or become apparent to you?
Aha moments lately. Like I said, the TikTok ban was definitely a big wake-up call that I think we all needed. But any wake-up calls, aha moments? I don't know. That's a hard one.
No, it's tough. I know. It's like, when they hit you. I think the TikTok one is like is huge. And I think that the whole industry right now just had an aha moment with that. And like I said, I think we're seeing that creators are just of all kinds, not just LTK creators, all kinds of creators are looking for that home base for their community. Kate, where can we find you?
You can find me on TikTok at Kate Bartlett and on my Instagram at Kate with 2 E's.Bartlett.
And your YouTube and LTK too?
YouTube, yes. Kate Bartlett on everything.
Love it. Thanks for being here, Kate.
Thank you so much.
You can listen to More to Say on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And I'd love to hear from you. Share your comments and questions in the reviews section, or you can reach me at Amber Vinsbox on LTK, Instagram, or LinkedIn.